Hello! How are you today? It is Shan Merchant. I'm a relationship coach and intimacy teacher, and I am shooting to you live from Ibiza today. Hello everyone. So nice to be on video today, and I wanted to shoot a little video just to talk about narcissistic relationships actually. So I've been talking to a lot of women mainly online who are fearful about getting into these relationships, particularly if they have been in them before. So I want to give you some tips today. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, I'm actually new to YouTube, so I've only just started shooting videos on YouTube recently. So if you like my content, please help me out by liking my channel. And if you want to see more of my stuff, I also have been shooting a lot over the last couple of years on Facebook. So anyway, my background's in psychotherapy, and I'm really passionate about relationships and helping you have a healthy one. So today I want to talk a little bit about narcissism. And so firstly, if you're watching this video, you probably know what a narcissist is. But just in case you don't, I'm just going to run through some of the main characteristics of a narcissist. So a narcissist is someone who has characteristics mainly of being completely self-absorbed. So they are the grandiose personality. They have a complete, they're so self-absorbed that they have a complete lack of empathy towards others. They don't, they're not aware of others' feelings or experience. It's all about them. And so, they can come across as being very arrogant, very self-centered. They can be controlling in relationships, believe they are superior to others. They love to be admired and flattered because, to be honest, the thing about the narcissist is they have this big, grandiose, overinflated self, but inside they are really, really insecure. They are the deflated self. And so, this is all this really big external personality on the outside to hide the very wounded self on the inside. And the even more dangerous thing actually is that they're not even aware of this. They're unconscious to their devalued part of their personality, and so they have this really big, grandiose, charming external self. And so if you get into a relationship with one of these types of people, then they can spend a lot of time criticizing you, judging you, devaluing you. It can be really damaging for your self-confidence and your self-esteem. They can start off as being really charming and really flattering because they have this valiancy, this knowing straight away to really be able to identify your own more vulnerable parts, your insecurities, and then they'll speak these. They'll be like the glove that fits. So if you want a baby, they'll promise you a baby. If you want to be married, they want to marry you. If you've had difficult relationships in the past, they're going to be the man or the woman that is never going to hurt you like that. So they're really, really skilled. They're so charming, and they're really, really good at flattering. They love to be flattered themselves. They love attention. So it's all about them. And, these relationships with a narcissist, they can be very abusive actually. So they can be physically abusive and emotionally abusive, because the narcissist is also, very prone to rage. If this ideal of who they really are is threatened, then they can really come back with a lot of rage and a lot of anger. So these relationships can be really destructive. And you see a lot written about this, at the moment. Lots of people in online groups, on Facebook, who have suffered from narcissistic wounding. I see this in my therapy room. You see it a lot actually, as a woman will be in a narcissistic relationship with a man, meaning the man is the narcissist, but you also can see it, on the other side as well. So you can also see it where the woman is the narcissist. So it's not limited to either sex, but because my main audience is women, because I like to work with women, I do women's work, helping women have successful and happy relationships and feeling really empowered in relationship. I'm going to mainly speak from the woman's perspective today. So so that's the important thing to know, is they have these really grandiose self, yet inside they're the deflated, devalued self. That's who they really are, but they would die before anyone could ever see that part of themselves. So you never actually get a narcissist come into therapy because they're so unconscious to this part of themselves, to that really empty, insecure part of themselves, that they would never reveal it, not even to themselves. So you would never see a narcissist come into therapy. So what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about how to make sure that you don't end up in a relationship with a narcissist, and really what I want to say is that, a narcissist does not exist in isolation. There's always a matching pair for a narcissist. And in psychotherapy, the way that we explain it is we use the Greek myth of Narcissus, actually. And we love our myths in psychotherapy because it's a really powerful way of explaining what happens psychologically. And so there's this Greek myth called Narcissus, which is actually where the term came from. And Narcissus was actually this hunter. He was a son of a Greek god, and he was known for his beauty. He was so beautiful. And one day what happened to him is he fell in love with his own reflection. He was passing a river or a pond, and he saw his reflection, and he was so struck by his beauty that he fell in love with himself. And he actually ended up, there's a couple of versions of the myth, but in one of them he ended up committing suicide because he could never have this beautiful person in the mirror, in the reflection, of the water. He died of anguish and desperation because he could never have this person because it was his own reflection. And so on the other side of that, however, the myth is talking about Narcissus and Echo. So Echo is this mountain nymph. So she exists in the woods, and she sees Narcissus one day, and she falls in love with him. He's so beautiful. And one day when she sees him in the woods, because he's a hunter, she comes out and she professes her love to him. And he is so cruel and rejecting of her, because he's so totally self-obsessed with himself. He only exists and lives for himself. And so he says to her, "I would die rather than have you touch me." And Echo's actually been cursed by one of the gods, and she's lost her voice. She's this beautiful nymph, but she's lost her voice, and she cannot speak for herself. All she can do is she can echo what other people say, but the echo never echoes back the whole sentence, just the last half. And so she can't actually echo back the full sentence. She just says, have me, have me, have me. And so she's in this really weak, humiliated place. And what ends up happening is she ends up wasting away because she's so devastated by the rejection from him, and so humiliated and shamed and scorned that she hides in the woods, and from afar she watches him. Unrequited love, but also, she just wastes away. So she loses her physical body, and all that is left is her echo. So they both end up dying, and we use this in psychotherapy, this myth, because it's really powerful way of describing the dynamic which happens in these relationships. So you have a narcissist and an echo in relationship, and so what happens is, it's like two magnets. The overinflated, grandiose self, the narcissist, he has a valiancy towards spotting the empty self, the deflated self, the woman that fears that no one will truly love her, the woman that's wounded from childhood, feels like she doesn't belong, feels insecure, and then he comes in and he really sweeps her off her feet because he promises her everything that she longs for, and really sees deeply and understands exactly the most insecure part of her. So they bond together like a glove, actually. And so in my therapy practice, actually, I see a lot of, I call them narcissistic echoist type relationships. So they bonded together, the insecurity of the woman and then the narcissist, and that's why you often see is that in a relationship, the woman can really lose her sense of self. She gets ground down by the criticizing and the attacking and the blame, actually, the narcissist, because it can be very confusing to be in a relationship with a narcissist, because they're controlling, they're telling you, you're the one that's got the problem, you're the one that that has all the issues, and they're the perfect one, actually. And so it can be very confusing, and you can really lose your sense of self, and it's very damaging for your self-esteem and self-confidence. And what you often see is that women stay too long in these narcissistic relationships because they really lose who they are, and they can't leave. So anyway, what I want to help you with today is I want to help you with stopping getting into these relationships to start with. And the first thing that I would say is the answer to all of this I really want to soothe your fears on this, is that the answer is to really doing this work on yourself. So really, recognizing, being super honest with yourself. Okay, so how do I really feel inside? Do I have these really wounded parts, perhaps from previous relationships? Are there trends? Do I keep repeating patterns in my relationship? What happened to me as a child? Perhaps I had a narcissistic parent and I'm really wounded from that actually, and so I'm more susceptible to falling into these types of relationships because I can fall into a particular role. I expect this treatment because I had it as a child, and so then when it happens to me as an adult, some part of me accepts it, and I end up falling into this relationship and not putting in boundaries as I should, so it's really related to your history and how your personality has evolved. And so and a lot of this stuff is unconscious. This might not be in your conscious mind, but it's part of who you are. It's like more in the darker basements of our psyche. And so it's like, okay, so how do I stop myself falling into these types of abusive and damaging relationships where I lose myself? How come I keep attracting these types of men into my life? So it's about really doing the work, recognizing, there's some things in my past and I really want to heal myself, and I'm really going to grow my self-awareness. I'm really going to put the work in and invest in myself and, build my sense of self, build my instinct, build my connection to my instinct of what feels good and what doesn't feel good to me, build my boundaries, be able to say no, don't lose my voice, have confidence to speak up, really start to connect to myself and heal these much younger parts of myself and mother myself and love and accept myself so that, I'm stronger. It really is building a solid container and a sense of self. This is who I am. And so what happens is when you go into this relationship with someone else who might start off as being really flattering, it's about, and then change later into an abusive style of relationship. It's about really having this solid ship. I know who I am. I'm my own solid container. I listen to my feelings. I respond to my feelings. I don't dismiss myself. I'm in touch with my instinct as a woman. This is so powerful for us, our woman's instinct. It really is a source of strength, a source of guidance for you, really knowing what your values are and how you want to be in relationship as a person, how you want to be treated. So if you're in connection to all of this type of thing, then you're not going to be vulnerable to someone really taking advantage of you and having control over you in a relationship, because you're empowering yourself. So that is the work. That is the work, to really empower yourself. So I really want to ignite this passion for the work within you. I really want to. It's very important. And the other thing that I would say is the danger is if you're not doing this work on yourself, if you have these wounded parts, let's say you have a really strong inner judge who judges you, and you tell yourself these things, you tell yourself in moments of anger, I'll never be loved, or no man will ever want me, or whatever it is your inner dialogue is. The danger is if you are not self-aware and you haven't done this really important work on yourself, then you get into a relationship with a guy, and then let's say it turns into an abusive relationship, and then the words on the outside that they speak, they somehow match the words that you tell yourself about yourself, and so then it's like this energetic match. And so then you're like, well, true, that's true, everything I tell myself is true because he's saying that to me too. So it's like, you've really got to do the work and change the dialogue, the inner dialogue. So you've got to break the pattern and really go into doing this deep work on yourself. And the other thing that I would say is, and I've already mentioned it, is having boundaries. So really knowing what healthy boundaries are. If you as a child had your boundaries overstepped in whatever way, sexually, emotionally, physically, spiritually, so if your boundaries were not respected, then what happens is you grow up to be an adult woman who does not know what healthy boundaries are, and so then people continue to overstep them and you allow them because you never really knew what it was in the first place. So it is about doing that work, therapy work, whatever whatever healing work you choose that really speaks to you, to really start to know what those boundaries are and start to put them in. And again as well, like really building that connection to your instinct and listening to your feelings and being sensitive to what is okay and what isn't okay, and stopping things early, so not letting things build up so all of a sudden you're caught in this mesh of this behavior. But it's like really paying attention, and I'm not saying paying attention in a fearful way. I'm talking about paying attention in a empowered way. So who you are, how you like to be treated, and you like to treat others in a particular way. So it's really paying attention to this. And the other thing I'd say is go slow. I see many women out there and they really speed into these relationships, and so I want to really invite you to build your life. So build the structure of your life, like pay attention to your life. You've got this one chance to have this experience in this human body that you have right now, this particular one. And really craft your life, like fill your life with things you enjoy. Make sure you have a job that you enjoy. Make your tribe. So really build relationships with people that you trust, that you admire, that share the same passions as you. Like surround yourself with people that you like and that make you feel good, and that you make them feel good, because it's just like a mutual exchange. Be creative in whatever way that you want to be. Be connected to your embodied erotic sexual self. Really know yourself as a woman and allow yourself to flower in that way. So really build your life, and then the partner that comes into this is someone that's going to enhance your life. They're not going to make it better, but you've got the solid structure of your life, and so you don't need to speed forward into a relationship, because you've got this great life that you're slowly crafting over the years and building up. And so the person that comes into it is someone that's going to be carefully selected and curated to enhance your life as you will theirs. So anyway, I've said enough for today. I hope that this helps. And if you want to watch any more of my videos, I'm going to be posting more on YouTube soon, because I've just started actually a YouTube channel about 2 weeks ago, so I'm fresh on YouTube. I post quite a lot on Facebook, so if you want to read more of my stuff, follow me there. Lots of love and inspiration. See you all soon.